Erev Shabbos, Parshas Behar, Erev Shabbos Lag BaOmer. The first mitzvah that we deal with in this week's parsha is the mitzvah of Shemitah. Yovel, letting the land lie fallow every 7 years, then the 50th year. And the Torah tells us in Pasuk Yud Ches, Torah says, "Vasisim es chukosai v'es mishpatai tishmeru, vasisim esam." You keep my statutes, my commandments, v'yishavtem al ha'aretz levetach, and then you will be guaranteed that you'll live quietly and peacefully in the land. Rashi says, "V'yishavtem al ha'aretz levetach" means that sheba'avin shmita Yisrael golim, that it's dafka because of the transgression of not keeping shmita, not letting the land lie fallow every 7 years. So then that's the reason why we are exiled from the land. Shenemar says, as tirtza ha'aretz es shabsosah, that hirtzata es shabsosah. The Shivim Shana Shal Galus, in the 70 years of Galus, Bavel, were kineged, they corresponded to the 70 years of Shmitos that we were batal, that we were mevatel. So the Torah describes very clearly that the reason why we get kicked out of the land was because we didn't keep Shemitah. I want us to wonder, how is it possible that we didn't keep Shemitah? Shemitah is one of those mitzvahs that sounds like it's a hard one, but it's not as hard as you think. Because inherent in the mitzvah is its promise and its reward. That God says that if you're going to say, what am I going to eat in the 8th year? So God says, don't worry, because the 6th year is going to produce enough food to be able to take care of you for 3 years, which means that there is guaranteed protection, and it's paid up front, and it's right there in front of you. Who wouldn't keep Shemitah? What was the challenge that made it that for 70 Shemitahs we didn't keep, and therefore we went into 70-year exile between the first and the second temple? Because of all the Shemitahs that we didn't keep, how is that possible? Furthermore, you have to wonder that is it really Shemitah that's the reason that we were sent into exile? Don't we talk about many other things, especially in next week's parsha? In next week's parsha, it talks about that in B'chukosai telechu, if you walk in my ways, then everything is going to be good for you. And if you don't walk in my ways, and we say, what is walking in God's ways? It means being a melim b'Torah, total immersion in the process of the study of Torah, in the living of Torah. And ultimately, that's really the reason why we were exiled from the land, because we didn't have amelos, because we didn't have that kind of total dedication and total involvement, that deep kind of involvement in the Torah, and for that reason we were exiled. So what are you telling me that it's because of Shemitah, when in next week's parsha we say that it's because of amelos b'Torah, because of our relationship to Torah? So there's a famous Gemara that Moshe Rabbeinu goes up to heaven. When he gets up to heaven, he sees the angels and God are arguing about giving the Torah to the Jewish people. And the angels are very much against giving the Torah to man. Man is fickle. What does he need the Torah? What's he going to be able to do with the Torah? Because he can't be trusted. He's not a trustworthy person. So how could he give the Torah to the human beings? Moshe comes up and God says to Moshe right away, like he attacks him. He says, "Go, Moshe, you answered him." So Moshe's like blindsided. So what does he do? So he looks at the angels and says to them, "You have parents?" They're saying, "No." Okay, what do you need the mitzvah of kibbut avim for? Do you work? No. So what do you need the mitzvah of Shabbos for? And he goes through mitzvah, and he tells them, you guys, it's not shaykh. It has nothing to do with you, the Torah, and therefore, very nice you want to hold on to it, but it doesn't belong to you. It belongs to us. It's really what was Moshe Rabbeinu saying to them? What Moshe Rabbeinu was saying to them is that, look, you don't have our challenges. You're not fickle. You are totally, completely dedicated to God. You are created dedicated to God. But because you don't have our challenges and you don't sin, but at the end of the day, you also don't grow. You don't change. You're undim, you're not ma'alchim. You stand still. You're not moving. You're not dynamic. And us, we have potential to grow because we have the danger of falling down. Because we're human beings, and because we were given Behar, we were given free choice, we can make bad choices. We can end up falling down. And that's why we need the Torah, to ensure that we don't fall. And that's what Moshe Rabbeinu was telling the angels, why the Torah can't stay up in heaven. It has to come down to earth. Because in heaven it's useless. Because you don't need what the Torah does for you, which is to guide you, direct you, make sure you don't fall down, make sure you reach the potential that you're meant to reach. That's what the Torah does for us. It allows us to strive and to work. Because at the end of the day, you know why we're put in this world? Adam la'amal yulad. We were put into this world to work. But to work doesn't just mean to have a job. To work means to grow, to be productive, to do something with ourselves. That's why we're here. And when we are stagnant, it's like we're dead. When, as much as people say, I can't wait till retirement, when you really truly retire, you're in a lot of trouble. Very few people do the retirement successfully. Because sitting around doing nothing, it sucks out everything from the person. That's not living. So a person who retires, I'm told this, I don't know this, but a person that's retired, so they find other things to do. They find ways to keep themselves busy. But we have to do that. Because Adam la'amal yulad, because we need to be productive. You take away my productivity, you take away my life. And that's why Shemitah is so challenging. Because in Shemitah, you're turning to me and you're saying, let the land lie fallow. Don't do anything this year. Don't work, don't plant, don't plow. You can't be productive. Don't produce anything this year. And that's why it's such a challenge. You could promise me food for 3 years coming in the 6th year. You could show me on the books how a miracle happened. Lo and behold, what would take care of me for 1 year is taking care of me for 3 years. It's fabulous. But it's not going to give me the life that I need because I'm not producing. And that's why I was challenged. And that's why we couldn't keep Shemitah. But what was the antidote? The antidote was that God said to us, we have to be Amelim Torah. That our production has to come from our hands, and our production also has to come from our minds and our spirits. And that's why the Mishnah in Pirkei Avos talks about working and learning. You have to have production in all areas of your life. And that's why in next week's Parsha it says that everything is going to be destroyed when you're not putting Amelim in Torah, because during the Shemitah years, that's what you have. You have Torah, that's all you have. That's where you put your production. In your life, that's where you have to put production, not only in your hands, but in your spirit, in your mind. And when you have that, you have life. And that's what the Torah is promising me in this week's Parsha. Vishavtem ala oretz levetach. You want to live peacefully in the land? Be productive. Positively move your life forward. Live your life for others. Live your life to produce fruit, to produce things, to create, to make, to bring joy, to bring yourself spirituality and light. Then v'yishavtem al haaretz levetach. I promise you, says God. That's how you live securely. When your life is moving forward. When you're being productive. And as long as you're productive, that's how you keep the blessings flowing in your life. And you stay sure and secure in your land. And you stay connected to the Ribono Shel Olam, to the Master of the universe.